G'day, I'm Craig Greenwood from Australian Premium Dried Fruits. This is the first of our round of crop reports for the 2020 season, which will be coming regularly to you through till around March. I've started the report this year in the same place that I did last year, in front of the Murray River, which is our main source of water for our farming, our irrigation. It's still the biggest issue we have here from a farming community. We're in drought conditions here in Australia, so water prices have actually spiked even further from where they were last year, which I highlighted were very concerning prices. Growers that own water are only allowed to use 56% of their water licence at this stage in the main growing areas, and then they have to top up with water purchases, which are up over $800 per megalitre, which is basically $800 per tonne cost for water, and there is a risk that the water price will go over $1,000 per tonne. So that water issue hasn't gone away, and really in Australia we're desperate for some decent rainfall, which we hope to get over the next 12 months to give us some relief on this water price. We've also had some really difficult weather conditions recently. There's been a lot of reports, I'm sure you've seen, around fire activity in Australia. Well, we have luckily escaped any major bushfire activity in the growing area, but we still have a bit of a smoke haze that's pretty much covered the nation, and you may see some of that in the pictures in the background, that sort of haziness that we don't normally have here in the growing district. That won't affect the fruit in this season at all. But also we've had some very hot temperatures and record temperatures up as high as 48 degrees Celsius in the shade around Christmas, and you'll see some of the impacts of that as well in the different pictures of the grapes that I show you today. It's been a really challenging year for our farmers, and we'll come through this, but it's not an easy time for Australian dried fruit, and we hope to see some better conditions with rain in the next 12 months, just to give us a bit of relief from this heat. This is the traditional Thompson Sultana variety. This is basically 50% of the Australian Sultana crop is this Thompson variety that we all know, that gives us the light fruit. And overall we've got a good crop of Sultanas in most of our vineyards at the moment. This is the Golden Dried Fruits vineyard, which is our largest vineyard in our supply base, and we didn't actually have a great season last year in this vineyard, and the vineyard is showing much better signs this year of a crop back to a normal average yield. So the extreme heat conditions that we experienced over Christmas haven't done any real damage to Sultanas. Yes, there are reports of damage around, but it's more in properties that don't have this large canopy that we have here in this vineyard. So if you have a nice big canopy, a lot of shade, then typically the fruit has not experienced any issues. Moving along the panel, there are still some signs of some burn where these bunches are exposed to sunlight during the day, so that's what's happened to any bunches that were getting too much sun in that really hot period across Christmas. But you know, overall, if we have the right weather conditions, we're going to get some really high quality fruit again from the Sultanas this year. Here's an example of the Sunglow Sultana variety. This is one of the more robust varieties in terms of wet weather, and it's a later variety, one of the varieties that we're excited about, but it's probably been hardest hit by these extreme hot temperatures. This is a more extreme patch of, or representation of, what we've experience with sunburn with these hot temperatures. We had up to 48 degrees Celsius recorded here in Mildura around the Christmas period, and that was some of the hottest temperatures on record. If you come in here, you can see we've got plenty of fruit. These are only young vines, but this is what we're talking about. The sunburn basically just cooked some of the fruit, and that's just no good at all. So that will come away, dry out, and come away from the vine before harvest. But this patch here, as you sort of focus across, upwards of 20, 30, maybe even 40% in some areas have been lost due to that extreme heat. So we won't really know the full extent of the damage until the harvest, and then until we've got the fruit in the bins and we can weigh it, we'll really know what the impact is. But definitely this temperature has caused the overall crop loss already in the season. It's predicted to be somewhere around the 10% overall of what our original estimate was. Here's a typical patch of currants. As you can see, there's a lot of fruit on these vines again this year. That's the early stages of veraison period, so they're still quite green. They're sugaring up, and as they do, they will go to that darker black colour before we cut the canes and the fruit dries. There's no real damage from the extreme heat. These vines here are an example with a nice big canopy where the fruit's been protected from the sun in those extreme temperatures, so currants are looking to be pretty similar in volume to what we had last year. This is the patch of sun muskets. Sun muskets are still quite a way off from maturity. They don't start the harvest of this variety until last week of February, first week of March, depending on specific areas, so still a long way to go, but the variety overall is fairly unaffected from the heat. There are patches that have a bit of the heat stress, but sun muskets are still looking good. So there you have it. That's the first crop report for the upcoming 2020 season. As you can see, there's a lot of challenging conditions for growers and the industry at the moment with regards to water and the weather and the hot conditions we've experienced. But we'll fight through that because that's what agricultural industries do. We're still confident of some really good quality this year, but the damage on the sunburn will impact some of the volume. So I'll be back in a couple of weeks to give you another update. Until then, it's bye for now.